And so the implication here is that in many cases, people who are doing a PRI program and who are presenting with that right hip hike are often likely actually reinforcing the exact phase of gait that creates that position in the first place. In this video, we're going to be answering the question, did PRI get the pelvis wrong? I'll talk about why this matters, where I think the misunderstanding is, and what the implications are for exercise selection. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so first of all, just to get this out of the way, I think that PRI is still valuable. Taking PRI courses teaches you how to think, and even though I think they get some of their core assumptions incorrect, I do think there's a benefit from going through the process of learning some of their first principles, even if there are aspects of their core model that I disagree with. So this is not a video to bash on PRI and or all PRI providers. With that said, I do think that there's a core assumption in their model that is incorrect and based on a flawed understanding of the gait cycle. And so let's dive into that, talking about what their assumptions are and what they recommend, and why I think that in many cases, not only are these incorrect, but oftentimes the opposite of what we need to do to actually get results. So in PRI, they talk about an asymmetrical pattern of the pelvis called the left AIC pattern. And when you're just looking at someone who has a left AIC pelvis, they tend to shift over, so the right hip hikes up, and they're getting a little bit more weight over on the right leg. So in the side-to-side or frontal plane, they're shifting to the right, and so the pelvis comes up. And the way that PRI will describe this position or state of the pelvis is a pelvis that is stuck in right stance. And what that means is that when we're walking or when we're in the gait cycle, that this is what they're saying happens when we put our weight on the right leg fully. And this is the point of misunderstanding, because if this is how we describe right stance, then it makes sense that we're going to do activities that then push us away from the right side and focus on getting on the left. And this is exactly what PRI does with their exercises, which focus on either using the right glute to push out of the right side or left inner thigh and abdominal muscles to be able to shift into the left side. However, the problem here is that this position of shifting over to the right in the side-to-side plane is actually happening at a point in the gait cycle before we fully shift the weight onto the right leg. And so this is actually not a right stance position, but instead is the loading response, or more like the early stance phase of gait on the right. And you might be listening to this and you're thinking like, why does this matter? Well, because when the pelvis is shifted in the side-to-side plane to the right, it's actually going to tend to be turned away from the right side. And so the center of mass has not fully shifted onto the right side, and we are not in right mid stance, and we are not fully shifted over the right side at that point. Yes, we're shifting in the side-to-side plane, but here in the rotational plane, we're actually facing away. This has important implications for some of the exercise recommendations, because when we think about what we see in PRI, we see a lot of activities that turn the pelvis in the transverse plane back to the left, right? We use right glute to push over to the left, or we use left inner thigh and abdominals to actually secure the pelvis over the left leg as we're turning in the transverse plane. However, it's important to understand that the actual point in the gait cycle, this loading response or this early stance phase, is going to actually be where we have the hip hiking up but turning away. So in many cases, if we have someone who is stuck in this position, the normal PRI activities will actually reinforce the rotational aspect of the pelvis and prevent us from actually resolving the hike, because that hike is only going to be resolved when we get into true mid stance. So now talking about what is true mid stance. True mid stance is going to be when we fully shift the pelvis over this leg and the actual pelvis turns toward that leg. Now here's what I want you to notice. As we're turning towards this leg and we are truly in mid stance, the other side is going to be swinging. When the other side swings, the pelvis moves up with the leg. And so if we focus on the right side and we're turning towards, but that side is going to drop relative to the other side coming up, we can see that this is actually the position that ends up resolving that position. So we load here with the pelvis hiked up and the pelvis turned away towards the left side. Then as we swing through, we turn towards the stance leg and we drop down on that side. And so the implication here is that in many cases, people who are doing a PRI program and who are presenting with that right hip hike are often likely actually reinforcing the exact phase of gait that creates that position in the first place. And this actually has even more serious implications because in many cases, and this is taught inside PRI courses, if someone is unable to make positive changes in their repositioning tests and achieve a state of neutrality, they're often looked at as someone who requires more interdisciplinary or advanced techniques. And these could often involve getting some sort of a splint for the teeth or getting some sort of special glasses. And while these things, I'm sure, are helpful in some cases, if the criteria for telling people that they should do these things is based on a flawed assumption of what's happening positionally and in terms of the gait cycle, then chances are we are recommending these types of expensive, alternative, interdisciplinary integrations with very little supporting evidence at a rate that is likely far too great when we have not exhausted the more obvious movement options that we could explore in a much less expensive way. And the reason that I'm mentioning this isn't because I have some sort of ill will or vendetta against PRI. In fact, quite the opposite. I think that PRI is a very useful model to learn in terms of how you look at the body in a three-dimensional space. But again, with these underlying assumptions being incorrect, we need to be very careful about listening to advice from some of the loudest people inside of this space. And I say this because I get messages like this all the time, which is that people were working with a PRI provider. They voiced their opinion that they needed to work on shifting into their right hip felt stiff, and they get an explanation that says, well, it's actually impossible you would need to do that unless your organs were flipped on the other side of your body. This type of response reflects someone that is so deep inside of that PRI mindset and inside of the methodology and inside of sipping their own fucking Kool-Aid that they're basically telling that person what you're feeling in your body is wrong, when now, with what I'm talking about in this video, you're probably getting a feel for why in many cases, not only is it not wrong, but in many cases, it's exactly what we need based on a better understanding of what's actually going on in gait and in the positions of the body that associate with it. Now, all this is to say that the stakes here are very real. And the good news is that we can actually make some very simple choices with respect to exercise selection that can help us to actually make some progress when it comes to improving motion at the pelvis. So as we said, when we see this kind of position where someone is hiked up on the right side and then counter-rotated back towards the left, representing more of a loading response of gait, they are not able to get into true right mid-stance. And so our goal ends up being, can we either get them to be able to push themselves into true mid-stance from the left side, or can we get them to move into true right mid-stance by making some space in the right side? And to be really specific, you'll often see that people who have this pattern, when they come down and they do a squat, oftentimes the right side will hike up and you'll see the reinforcing of that pelvis turning back to the left. Now, sometimes you see it in the pelvis, and other times you're going to see it up in the lumbar spine. And if it's the pelvis, you're going to see the left butt cheek further back in space towards you. If it's in the lumbar spine, you're going to see this side almost looking like it's a little bit bigger. But what you're seeing there is a combination of rotation of the lumbar spine towards that direction, as well as some of the muscles in that area trying to stabilize that position and prevent it from moving further back. And this is often why people who present this way will say that they do feel some stiffness in the left low to mid back. And a lot of the narratives around reducing extension on the left side seem like they fit intuitively, but oftentimes when you're trying to shift further into that side, you get temporary relief at best and the changes just don't stick. What actually works is looking at the position that we have and being able to see how we can improve it. And so at the bottom position of a squat, we want to look at either creating some space to move into so that we can turn to the right by lengthening this right glute and back hip area. Or on the left side, we want to open up the inner thigh a little bit here in the front to allow the pelvis to tilt into that space. And when we can do this, what we'll usually see is a pelvis that turns back to the right and allows this right side to drop down a little bit. Now, as we come up to the top of a squat, we're often going to see just the opposite. So we're going to see that as the hips extend up, we're going to see more of the right side shifting forward than the left. So we'll still see the left side further back when we're looking at it relative to the right side. And with that, we'll see a little bit more extension on the right side of the low back relative to the left. So in this case, what we want to focus on doing is getting a little bit more of that hip extension in the left as well to counteract the tendency of that extension on the right to turn everything to the left. And one of the ways that I really like to work on this extension piece of it is to do something that has a strong hip extension component to it and can shorten up this left glute area, something like even a sumo deadlift type variation. Now, last but not least, we just talked about two symmetrical exercises and how we could look at them and cue them a little bit. One of the ones that we can do to really open up space and practice getting on the right side is doing something like some sort of a staggered hinge type position. So in this case, what we'd want to do is we'd want to practice shifting the body fully over that side. So we're actually setting up in a degree of internal rotation from the pelvis moving on the leg. And then in that position, we want to practice shifting back over that side while keeping the pelvis relatively level, or even trying to get that left side to hike up slightly relative to the right. Now, some things that we can do in addition to this to really shore up the system, if you will, is to work on deep left hip flexor activities. That is especially going to be helpful if we're able to practice it along with a little bit of a left hip hike, just moving the leg freely in the open chain, or if we're working again at the bottom of a squat and we're trying to get that pelvis to go forward in space to cancel out the fact that the right pelvis moves forward in space more readily. If we can capture that bottom position of a squat with the left pelvis coming into anterior tilt and use those deep hip flexors to stabilize it, we're going to be able not only to get a little bit of opening here in the front of the pelvis on the left side, but also direct the pelvis back to get a little bit of opening in the back of the pelvis and even the back of the low back on that right side as well. All right, so just to put a bow on this, I think that PRI does get the pelvis wrong because of a flawed understanding of gait. What they're describing as right mid stance involves a shifting of the pelvis to the right, but a counter rotation back to the left, and would better be described as what we would see in the loading response of gait. True right mid stance is likely better described as the pelvis turning towards the lead leg and that stance side pelvis also dropping down at the same time. If we can open up access to actually moving into this true right mid stance position, we can likely resolve the positional tendencies that we see in terms of that right hip hike. Now, one thing that I will not be encouraging or tolerating in the comments is any sort of hate that is aimed at PRI. Again, I think PRI has several beneficial aspects to it, and I give credit to PRI for helping me understand how to visualize the body moving in a 3D space. So even if that model isn't fully correct or fully useful, going through that process of learning their model has been very beneficial and even to an extent career changing. Now, last but not least, I do help people who have these asymmetrical patterns learn how to work with them, manage them, and ultimately resolve them so that they can train and do the performance activities that they love. So if that's you and you're already training consistently, taking care of the basics, and you have a performance-related goal, then go ahead down below and apply to work with me one-on-one. If you're that person who's got a pain relief-related goal and you're fixated on your posture and you're just concerned with fixing it or getting a change in how things look statically, then please don't apply below. You're just not a good fit for what I offer. And to be honest with you, having a purely pain relief goal, although a very human thing, is very unlikely to actually yield you any positive results. And I'm speaking as the patient and as the provider in this case. So my advice to you, if you're dealing with asymmetry, is work on both sides, work on shifting into and out of each hip, work on exercises that long-term get you stronger while also improving movement options at the same time. And most importantly, aim at doing the things you love and the performance tasks that matter to you. Don't get fixated on just trying to fix posture. All right, so with all that said, thanks a lot for watching. Leave the comments below and we'll see you next time. Peace.